Hello there, guys. I thought I'd make this video. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I thought you guys might enjoy it. A pattern making video. Got a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of projects. Haven't had time to sit down and do a video. I've just been trying to crank out orders and such. So anywho, how do you make a pattern? Well, you need the gun or the mold. I would suggest using the mold if you can get it, even if you have the gun, for a few reasons. One, you're not flagging yourself while you're trying to create the design. And number two, you're not destroying your personal gun when you have to get it wet and mold it and all that good stuff. So if you do have no other option but to use your gun, make sure it's unloaded. I can't express it enough. Unload, unload, unload. Make sure it's unloaded. So you have the mold. You have, I use this as a folder, like a file folder. It's nice and thick, so it works good when it comes time to trace it back onto the leather. If you use just regular paper or construction paper, it's kind of flimsy. It makes it difficult. So these type of file folders, they work perfect. Real thin cardboard. I've seen some people use foam even, real thin sheets of foam. So that works out good. We got our implements here. Like I said, we got our mold. We got this clip. I typically on my holsters, I use these real strong metal clips, and some people find them harder to open and close, but I use those specifically for a reason, so they are durable and they don't bend on you like some of the other ones, but they are kind of stiff. So anyway, I got this plastic one here, and I use these for a different kind of, for my plier sheaths, and they're still really strong and durable. I got plastic for the plier sheaths so they wouldn't discolor from the salt air and all that good stuff. Anywho, here we have the plastic one. It's nice and thick and durable. It's not going to snap on her either, but it's going to have a better flexing point. It's not going to be stiff metal, so she should be able to get it on and off her belt a lot easier. So we have to incorporate that. This is going to be an inside the waistband holster. You're going to need a ruler. I would suggest a pen and a pencil, and if the eraser looks like this, an eraser, and you're going to need scissors to cut it all out when you're done. So this is just a starting off point. You'll find as you make more and more patterns that you're going to have to adjust it here and there for this, that, and the other thing. So what I usually do is, this is good for the folders too because it's cut in half here with a nice crease. Take your sights and line that up directly in the middle on both sides so it's standing up. And then you just kind of let it fall over. Even it up here a little bit. There we go. And that should be good for sight rail clearance on this side. So what you're going to do now is you're going to trace the gun. Hold it down still. Don't cock the pin sideways or out. Just keep it directly straight, just like so. And it should be good. You see how it doesn't exactly follow the line. So that's what I've found. If you do it like this, you don't have to add for the leather. I just specifically split the width of the slide because it gives you just a little extra, if you could see that. So I do believe that accounts for the thickness of the leather in my designs. It hasn't steered me wrong since. But if you start digging in and get it exactly, that's when you're going to find yourself a little tight. Sorry, it's hard to do on camera. Okay. Straight up and down. Important part at this juncture while it's still here is you have to mark where the magazine release is. So this is going to be almost impossible to see, and it's easier to do with a pencil. I go in here and just trace that magazine, and we go ahead and block it out right now. Kind of exaggerate so you make sure you got plenty of clearance for it. See the mag release? Exaggeration. So there we go. We've got the gun traced. Now what you're going to do is you're going to measure the thickness of the slide. So sometimes it's easier to do the back like this because this kind of tapers and it's got beveled edges, so you're like, oh, am I getting to the end or to the front? Is a good way to do it. I usually go to the back of the slide there, and you see that's basically 1 inch. So you're going to want to put a 1/2 inch all the way around. You need clearance for your finger. I do that with a pencil. I stick my finger right there, and then I do the pencil around it like so. That's how much room I know I'm going to need to give me plenty of clearance to draw this pistol out of the weapon. Some people go all the way up to the grip. You almost have to pinch it to pull it out. This way, your finger's there, you got plenty of clearance. So now I go through here and I measure 1/2 inch all the way around. Got a lot of stuff in the way. Half an inch. I usually go about 1/4 past the muzzle. I'm eyeballing it, but you can measure about 1/4. And you have your middle if you want to do this so it keeps you straight in your head. You can do that too. So that part I do in pin because that needs to stay the same no matter what. That's my first stitch line that goes around. This is where the fold is. This is the stitch line. Finger clearance, and we draw off of it. This is where you get creative and you can draw any kind of design you like for your pistol. So mine, as of lately, I kind of come off of here and I like doing this kind of swoop thing here. This is the way I like to do it. And I'll tell you why. So if you follow these lines of the gun, it looks nice and you're using a little bit less leather, but it also leaves a perfect outline of a gun. When you have it kind of like this with just a little extra and you're not even using that much extra leather, it leaves a nice, it disguises the shape basically. Some states you can't even print at all, or you can get in trouble when you carry. This is going to be inside the waistband, but still, this way, if it was, even if your shirt come up a little bit, nobody know what that was. They think it might be a cell phone case or something. The last thing they'd ever suspect it to be would be a handgun. Sorry. So I like doing this kind of little swoop here. It's nice and disguises the outline of the gun. Then you come up here. I like to do the front first. So we come up this way. And this is where my front's gonna go. Bring them right up there to the sight. You can bring it lower. You can bring it all the way past the sight if you like. This is just how I like to do it. This is the creative part. This is the mandatory. This is the creative part. All right, swoop up like this. Now this particular swoop also clears it, so we can keep it that way. If sometimes mag releases are a little closer, a little further away, and you can't have the same distance on the front as in the back. So in that instance, I would do the front first, and then I would use, once I was happy with how I liked the front looked, I would like go over it with pen, and then I would do the back with less of a cutout. I mean, with more of a cutout to clear the magazine release, depending on what side it's on, obviously. So this works out both ways. This is good. We're still completely covering the trigger in the front, clearing the mag release. Got up here right before the sight. We're gonna put a little sweat guard on the back because this metal sticking into your side can get a little annoying from time to time. So once again, this is up to you. I like to cover that slide and not much more. So I usually stay pretty close to the back of the slide. You can go all the way out. It does make it kind of hard to fold, so I tend to kind of do this way. Makes it easier to fold it over. Doesn't kind of get like a weird pinch effect. So there you go. You got a rough draw of that. Now you got to make sure that your clip will clear. And I like to usually run the belt line right through where the trigger guard would be. So that's where I'll put that. So when I put this up here, when I put the screws up here, that'll be right there running along. We got plenty of room for clearance. And what I'll do, let's go ahead and mark this. This is where we're going to want to put our clip. All right. Draw 2 little holes right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out another little piece of leather. It's going to be like a reinforcement, basically. And all it's going to do is just be a little panel for this to sit on. It's going to put it up a little so it's level, and it'll keep the back of the screws from touching your gun, which is important because you don't want the back of screws scratching your gun. You don't need it any longer because the belt and everything is going to go through here. You just need it to cover those screws up. That's it. That's the whole purpose, is to hide those screws so they don't scratch up your gun. So bam, there's that little guy. That'll be a separate piece. Now what I do here is I fold over. You gotta make sure everything's even. If you can't pinch it together so it's straight, it would be best to cut it all out, flip it over, trace it, and cut it that way. We're gonna go crazy today though, and we're gonna see how we do cutting it all at the same time. And sometimes when I cut, I let my scissors be the guide, and I trim a little off the sides too. It just looks better as it spins around. See that? I trimmed a little off the edge there. So now we have both sides. Boom. We don't need this here because it's going to be the front of your holster. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that, because you're not going to have a sweat guard in the front. At least I'm not. Make sure everything's even. Bam, there you go. That is a pattern. So what we do, take our gun or our mold, put it in here, and make sure, as of now, everything clears. So I like to pinch that, see how it looks. That's looking good for clearance. Look down the sight channel. We got a nice, I don't know if you guys see that, we got a nice sight channel. This looks like it might end up being a little high, but it's better to have a little extra and cut afterwards than not have enough and have the gun sticking up like this out of the top looking all goofy. So, see here, get it back to where it was. About like so. Yeah, it'll probably sit in about like that. Yeah, like I said, once we get this cut out on the leather, we'll see how it looks all folded over. I might trim some of that off the top. You could always wait till the end because this is accessible and you can trim it and still finish it. We are clearing the magazine release. It's a little close, but once it gets molded, it'll probably be completely out of the way. If not, that's another spot you know to trim. It's looking a little close. We could actually just kind of swoop here. This is a good time to do it. Just give a little extra, cut a little extra meat off there, and you'll know for a fact that it's gonna clear. Sorry, I'm gonna do that off camera. Boom. All right, so we have this piece here. We don't want to retrace a whole extra, so what I would do is I'll do this, and then I'll go over with a pin, and I'm pressing down kind of hard, just hard enough not to explode the pin, but to get the job done. And it leaves a little impression there that you probably can't see because I can barely see it. Just like so. And that's going to be our piece for our holes, and we'll cut that out as well. Don't cut it out with the zigzags. Just cut it out neatly. I used to have, when I first started, I used to have a couple people, oh, why'd your lines look like that? Well, I have OCD, but over certain things, and that's not one of them that bothers me. I don't cut the leather that way. It's just assumed that you would cut it straight. But that, you know, some people don't think that way, and that's all right. So it makes the world go round. Anyway, bam, there we go. there is our reinforcement piece that we're going to attach the screw ends, Chicago screws, bam, and we'll be able to attach our clip just fine. So that right there, don't forget to label. Why do I keep wanting to call this a Springfield today? There you go. You label it. Label your little reinforcement piece too, so you know where that goes, and you'd be all set. You just made yourself a pattern for a Smith and Wesson EZ 380. At this point, what you would do is put this on your leather and trace it. This would be for a right hand draw. If you want to do left hand, you would flip it over upside down like this and trace it that way. That would be for the left hand draw. And make your holster. So that was a simple down and dirty way of making a pattern. You might find that you have to adjust it later, maybe let a stitch line out or two, but the more you do, the more you can realize. So this, like I said, this is a good starting off point. Give it a shot and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Have a great day.